In this video, I'm going to share with you where you should put all your attention to get the most leverage out of your content and where to focus. Mainly figuring out where you want to position yourself in terms of on the platforms, because each platform is slightly different, and there's certain social media platforms you want to focus more on being the type of model that you are or want to double down on. And some of them have pros and cons in terms of competition and in terms of personality and features for your type or niche even. So I run models who grow across multiple platforms every month. So this isn't theory, it's actually working for us right now. Let's break down TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. First off, starting with Instagram. Instagram is still useful for promoting your content, but the competition is a lot more harder as more people have gotten onto the scene, especially since the changes that happened last year from duplicating content and all the glitches that have been basically developers have fixed and stumped out. It's not that OnlyFans Instagram allows certain pieces of content, but there's certain things and procedures that they have to go through that will cut off or fix and make it more friendly or more users can use it. Basically more rules, as there's certain gray areas that can be abused. For instance, what was last year was working, or the last 6 months was working, is not working now. That's just also with the trial reels. Everyone was abusing the trial reels, just continuously posting the trial, duplicates of the trial reels and getting more and more views, and it will just get pushed out. But now you can do trial reels, but it actually has to be a different hook at the start. So Instagram is still useful, okay? But the growth now is a bit slower, and there is more constant risk of bans, okay? Compared to before, where we could have a lot more accounts, and I touched on this on another video. You could have a lot more accounts and get away with more things. Now, even certain emojis or certain other things. Even my friend the other day was sharing me content that they want to trial out with some models, and I was just I said to him, "Is this going to work long term?" He's like, he knows. No. I was just why would you not want to build something long term that's actually going to build the credit? But the issue was, the actually core issue for that, when I was talking to him, is that he is struggling to get the initial audience. Now, getting the initial audience, there are many ways you can get the initial audience through Instagram. And Instagram actually allows you to push out content to non-followers after you've reached over 1,000 followers, okay, on the trial reels. But you have to get to that point first. So when you're first starting out with Instagram, you need to really tune in the explore page for it's actually your niche that's popping up, or the content that people could like. But the most simplest way is to get that initial audience, if you're starting from scratch, the most simplest way is to find your niche and set up your profile that looks good and start following these people. Follow a group of people, check, they follow back, okay, maybe after a week or two you can unfollow. But you're going to get a start of initial people that are actually going to like your content. It's as simple as, for follow, unfollow is analogy with door knocking, where you're given a notification and that person, if it's a guy, is going to check out your piece of content, okay? So that is a manual way, but again, you can, with the right piece of winning content, you can set your Instagram to go viral. But if you're just getting started out, you might think of otherwise, because your skills are just not there yet. So if you're not actually seeing results, then you might have to reconsider your hooks. So it goes a lot deeper than just, oh, I can't get the initial following. Well, how good is your hook? Do you know what a hook is? Have you tested different openers? What are the features that is going to work for your body type? Okay. So I wouldn't just rely on Instagram for new growth. You need, and it is specific. If you have an original following, then you can use Instagram to grow a lot faster. It all depends on your starting point, more or less. But just starting out with Instagram, I would highly suggest the follow-unfollow method to get that original audience. But even to strip it back further, you need to know like what niche you want to go after, like specifically, because there's so much more competition. You can hone in exactly what niche you want to go after on that, while being able to show more than compared to TikTok. Okay, so it is still useful in 2025. So do not count that out, but the level of competition is more harder. Okay, because there's more people on that platform that is doing more 60 pieces of content, because the 60 pieces of content is allowed on Instagram compared to TikTok. Now going over to TikTok actually has one of the most insane reach if you look at demographic wise and your targeting. You just need a SIM card, you need your phone set to the US if you're outside of the US creator, or you can have two phones, right? US SIM, VPN, and basically the phone set on USA English, and the location of the phone is US state, right? Once you have all that set up, you are basically good to go to target 80 to 90% demographic in the US audience, compared to, I'd say, half that on Instagram. So you're actually getting double the amount of reach. So if you see 1,000 views, think on Instagram, that could be 2,000 views, but you might just be stuck on Instagram for the first month on 100 and 200 views, 500 views, because the content isn't up to the standard, okay? And the algorithm's de-ranking it. So the amount of potential reach on TikTok has a lot more higher upside for the targeting, okay? So if you can build less sexy but persuading for the audience that you want and the niche that you want and who you are, you can target that ideal person. You can literally say, I know you're watching this because you like blank persons, blank girls, blank blah blah blah, whatever niche you're in. You can literally say that, and then that will push to all the people, because the algorithm takes your transcripts and runs it through. Just getting into a bit too much detail there, okay? So TikTok works best for safe for work teasers, and I'm saying teasers on a really take teasers as like a grain of salt, because there's certain ways you can bring out certain things on TikTok where the algorithm can't pick it up. But when you're speaking, well, I just said, speaking is a good one. Speaking is going to make you have the biggest separator on TikTok, and that's hands down. Speaking in your car, on your couch, or as a reporting lifestyle, or public content, or Amigo vertical. Those are going to be your best pieces of expressing your niche on TikTok, 100%. So that's why I think TikTok is the perfect funnel from TikTok to Instagram. Instagram is the landing page to then OnlyFans. Now moving on to our last one. Now, if you can't figure the super safe for work or the more sexy piece of content that works on Instagram. And just before I jump onto the next platform, what you want is TikTok content that goes over, ideally, and works on Instagram. Now that's just not all the case. You can look up Sophie Rain and you can look at the content. You can look up these top models. They use some of the content, because if it's a trend, it's going to be a trend on all the platforms. The trends start from TikTok, right? But if you use the content on TikTok and it also goes viral on Instagram, you have a winner. That's a winning piece of content, and you want to keep creating that content and reskinning it at different locations and see how much juice you can get out of that piece of content, or that style of idea, or that's the style of the idea. If you're talking in the car, if you have a reporting type of position, or you are in public, etc., etc. You go on and on and on. Or it could be you're doing a golf swing, okay? Now, funneling from TikTok to IG is going to be one of the most powerful ways, because you're at that point. That's why I said, and we're circling back to Instagram before we get into the next one. If you don't have any followers as well on Instagram, and you do well on TikTok, those people are going to be fans or followers of yours on Instagram. So that's actually another best way to build your Instagram following, from that the geographic location of where you want that particular fan to be. And that if you're in a different creator in a different country, it goes for the same thing and targeting that type. So if you are speaking German, well, and you're promoting your content to a US audience, that's not really going to work, because they're all speaking English there. They don't understand German, unless this is how you speak XYZ in German, but you also know English, right? So moving on to the last one is Reddit. Now Reddit is fantastic for authentic, raw content in your niche. And there's nearly unlimited amounts of niches, or if the USA term, niches, or however you want to say it, to target to the exact type of fan that you like, or the fan that could be interested in you, right? So you just reverse engineer. But if you wanted to, so it really depends where you want to start. So if I put it as a tier example, TikTok, Instagram, and then Reddit. Why? Because you're going from the safest safe for work piece of content, then you're going a little bit more sexy, and then you're going Reddit. But if you work backwards, then it's not chronological. You know what I mean? If you go from safe for work PG to then not safe for work, and if you start at safe for work and you go the other way, it doesn't really work that way. Like, if you're looking at it but if you just start with Reddit, be like, I'm just going to go all out on Reddit and only double down on Reddit, then you're going to have success for yourself as a creator, or yourself as an agency, right? So the content and the subreddits, you will be faced with moderators that are real people and not bots. But the upside to Reddit is that you can post not for safe content. So you're getting everything out there, and you're letting the market decide, is this content good or not, for not safe for work content. It can be anonymous. You don't need to show your face, and that still works. You can also use location-based subreddits if you're based in that location, and they may ask you for verifications of that. So if you have a niche, that niche could be quite small, but it could be a high-paying niche in the particular content that you make, or just the niche of you as a creator. Okay? But there is a lot of rules to understand, and probably the best way to learn, and with anything, with using TikTok, Reddit, Instagram, is starting off with a real device and working from that, because you cannot beat real devices, and this is where everything's heading towards, compared to static Wi-Fi and mobile data, okay? But if you are getting banned and if you are stuck getting banned and you need help, you can just DM me on Instagram. And I can have a look at your situation and tell you where to focus on. And I can show you exactly step-by-step growth system that we can grow you as a creator to the next level. But yeah, that is my 3 platforms, my 3 top platforms, starting off with TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. In some ways, they are tied actually equal. In some ways, you could just have one and be a ballpark winner. It's actually what you want to focus on and where you think you can double down with. And does it make sense? Now, if it doesn't make sense, then the focus shouldn't be on there. The focus should be testing new ideas until you get that cult-like following. Now, this video has gone on for a bit longer than I expected, but there's going to be other videos furthermore, so subscribe, and I'm going to be posting more and more videos and helping you guys out. Cheers.